We're diving into a story that's been sold as a victory for fiscal responsibility, but may be a Trojan horse for social upheaval. The Home Office has announced a 30% cost reduction in migrant hotel spending. Sounds great, right? Until you realize that the savings come from moving asylum seekers into private housing in your communities. That's right, the hotels are being emptied, but the burden is being quietly shifted to your doorstep. According to National Audit Office, the UK spent 3.1 billion on asylum hotels in 2023-2024, with hotel stays costing £158 per night per person. Now, the Home Office claims it's cut the cost by 30%. Here's how. Migrants are being moved from hotels into private rental properties. These properties are often shared houses, HMOs, or dispersal accommodations. The cost per night drops to £20 to £30, but the volume of placement is increasing. So yes, the nightly rate is lower, but the total number of migrants housed is rising, and the burden is shifting to local councils and communities. Under the full dispersal model, every local authority in the UK is now expected to accept asylum seekers. That means migrants are being placed in private homes, often rented from landlords or housing associations. Local councils have no say in who is placed where. Residents are not informed when a house on their street becomes an asylum accommodation. In some cases, entire streets have been converted into unofficial migrant housing zones.
Where the fucking all this come from?
Yeah, see that? After seeing we did have fun and we did it there to come and have a look at these, you know. And we just got off and just enjoy, have a good time. Are you just coming there? Just coming inside?
All them fuckers, there's not a woman inside, there's fucking kids round here. Look at that fucking cockeyed bitch.
Let's talk numbers. The UK had 109,000 asylum seekers in accommodation as of September 2024. The Home Office is spending 15.3 billion over 10 years on asylum housing contracts. Private contractors like Mays Group, Serco and Clare Springs are making hundreds and millions in profit. Meanwhile, British families are struggling to find affordable housing. Properties are being taken off market, converted into migrant housing and funded by taxpayer money.
Then asks the very real question. Again, no surprises. It was their stated aim. Angela Rayner said on June the 26th, every part of Britain will take their fair share of migrants, along with that promise to build 1.5 million social houses. But asylum seekers, Mark White, will be eligible for that social housing. Social housing that is in short supply for British people already. Mark, is this really going to stop the problem, or is it simply going to dissipate and move the problem around working class communities, no doubt, around Britain?
Well, I think there's no doubt that as part of the stated policy now of the Labour government, then, people will move throughout the country and be absorbed into local authority areas. And as a consequence, they will have to be housed, and that will probably fall to council or social housing stocks and alike to make room for these people. Look, there are no easy solutions to this crisis, and the former Conservative government needs to answer some key questions as well about what on earth it was planning to do with that huge backlog of tens of thousands, up to 90,000 asylum seekers in the system as well, because they were just sat in limbo. They had passed a bill in the Commons that meant that anybody crossing the English Channel after after March 2023 was no longer eligible to claim asylum. So they were just stacking up in hotels. Well, the Labour government is passing a statutory instrument that will mean that those who have been in limbo in hotels will actually be processed. But in saying there's no easy solution to this, that is evident by the fact that you can process them more quickly, but in doing that, once the decision has been made, you're still left with what to do with them. Because as you mentioned before, Martin, more than 60% of asylum applicants are granted asylum. That doesn't even begin to address the numbers who can't then be returned to their home countries because they're dangerous countries that are then still given leave to remain. So the vast majority of people coming across the Channel do eventually just get to stay in this country.
Residents across the UK are reporting no notice when a migrant house opens next door. Increased strain on local services, schools and healthcare. Community tensions, especially in areas facing economic hardship. This isn't just about budget cuts. It's about transparency, local control, and who gets to decide what happens in your neighborhood. The hotels may be closing, but the system isn't shrinking. It's just being dispersed quietly into the fabric of your community. This is Shivangi, and you've been watching Newsroom.